Hello, my name is Jen and I'm really excited to show you how to do a classic long tail cast on adapted to fit with knitting the 2 socks at a time on 1 circular needle toe up socks, or I guess you could say toe up socks 2 at a time on 1 circular needle. And the reason why I chose this cast on is I guess when I first started knitting socks and I was a beginner knitter, I was really excited by the prospect of doing 2 at a time, and by being able to do on 1 circular needle and not have to be fussy with double points, because I've never worked with double points and I just wanted to do something that I was familiar with, but I didn't want to spend a lot of time learning techniques that I wasn't used to. And of course, a toe up, that's the first thing you do is a cast on, and I was quite confused with all the different cast ons and I was having a difficult time with them, so I decided, why don't I use a cast on that I'm used to and that I know already. Now this is very similar to Judy's Magic cast on, where it's sort of a tighter cast on. I tried the figure 8 infinity and the wraparound, and for the beginner sock knitter I thought it was kind of a very loose cast on. I wasn't very comfortable with it. So this one, like the long tail, classic long tail, you just pull and it tightens. So I'm just going through the basic principles of the classic long tail with you. You do your slip knot and you add it to your needle, and then you do what they call the boomerang. And you have your, short tail resting on your thumb and the working yarn resting on your index finger. You grab the yarn around your fingers and you create the boomerang, and I'm sorry, why am I using boomerang? Slingshot. It's called the slingshot. And what you do is you go under the outside yarn on your thumb, over and under the index finger yarn, and through the loop that you create on your thumb, and you pull. So there you go, that's a classic long tail. So I'm going to leave the slip knot on this needle. So for all intents and purposes of this video, it's actually supposed to be 1 circular needle set that you kind of place the needles on top of one another. But just so that it's easier to demonstrate and for you to see, I am going to replace one of the needles with a bamboo needle. And secondly, as you can see, this yarn is a worsted weight. It's quite thick. It's thicker than a normal sock yarn that you would use, but for demonstration it's just a lot easier to see. So you'll see that as I get faster with the casting on, that what I usually do is I flip back and forth. That's my technique of casting on the appropriate needle and making sure that the right needle catches the yarn. But what you can also do, which is really easy, is the needle you're casting onto, you could just kind of pull it out a little bit further than the other needle, just so you can catch the yarn. So because you have the slip knot on the top needle, that is your first stitch. So that means we're going to cast on to the bottom needle. So as you do with the classic long tail cast on, you have your short yarn on the bottom, working yarn on top, do the slingshot. So here we go. So we already have this one. You take your second needle and you catch it and you do the classic long tail and you tighten. And then for the top needle, I'll just move it out a little bit longer to catch, grab it. Now I usually like to use my thumb and finger to secure on the needle so that the existing stitches don't slip off. So then you just cast on to your top needle, and we will continue doing this, repeating until you get the requisite number of cast on stitches that you need for your project. My apologies, I'm watching this through the viewer of my camera, so it's a little bit awkward for me to see, but it's not as awkward if you do this regularly. There we go. But not easy trying to do a viewfinder through a camera. There we go. And then so here we go, without moving the needles forward. As you can see, what I was trying to explain was I flip the needles back and forth so that they just catch easier. And you got the right needle casting on. And let's pretend that's the right amount that you need to cast on for socks, which isn't, but we'll just say we did. Now, I think this is a fabulous cast on also for mittens. And also, if you want to do a beanie or a toque, and you want to work on one circular needle in the round, you could certainly cast on and then just expand the stitches around the toque and work your way top down that way. And I think that would work wonderfully. So here we go. Let's pretend we got one sock already casted on. I am going to add a second sock, and what I'm going to do is use a different color just so that you can see better. But here we go. We have our slip knot, and I would always add the slip knot to the same needle on the first sock that you did with the second sock, only because obviously you want your working yarn to land on the same needle when you first start knitting, and to keep the stitch count similar. So cast on the needle, and as you can see, I had it wide, and then as you pull, it tightens. And hold on tight to that one, and then we're going to cast on bamboo, flip it over, and there you have it. You have now casted on 2 socks, toe up, on one circular needle with a very tight and secure reinforced toe cast on. And there you have it. And this is just a demonstration of the cast on. I'm not knitting the sock, but you know, if you do the circular, you would know that you would actually, to confuse even more, your working yarn would be on the bottom, and this would be your needle where that you would pull out and start knitting, and you start doing the magic loop where you knit this sock, you knit the top row of the sock, and then you move the yarn aside and you grab the appropriate working yarn for this sock, and then you flip it over and continue. So that is my long tail cast on for 2 socks at a time on one circular needle, toe up. So I hope you enjoy this cast on as much as I do, and I wish you good luck on your next pair of socks. Thank you and enjoy.